Buenos días y bienvenidos, mi gente. Our Universalist heritage proposed that each person is made of divine goodness. Science offers that we might just be stardust. Whatever your beliefs, please know that in this space we acknowledge you are a gift inherently worthy of love. You are a gift, and we are glad that you are here. Love is the spirit of all souls, and in this moment of our shared journey, may you feel witnessed and honored wherever you are on that journey. I invite you now to please rise in body or spirit to greet your neighbor, especially new or returning people, with your name and your pronouns, and folks in the chat, please do that too.
Adiós, mi bien, adiós. Me voy muy lejos de ti. Llevo mi corazón, la herida de un cruel dolor. Olvídate de mí, olvida mi pasión. Adiós, mi ilusión. Adiós, mi amor. Adiós, mi amor, mi adiós. Me voy muy lejos de ti. Llevo mi corazón, la herida de un cruel dolor. Olvídate de mí, olvida mi pasión. Adiós, mi
Thank you.
Good morning and welcome. Buenos dias y bienvenidos to all of you that are here with us in the moment and to those who will be catching us later online. My name is Emily Salinas. My pronouns are she, ella, and today I will be serving as your worship associate. Together with Nancy Olson, Acting Director of Faith Formation, Reverend Katie, our senior minister, whose pronouns are she, ella, and Gabe Perbieri, Music Director, whose pronouns are he, him. We are your worship team on the chancel today. People of all ages are joyfully welcomed in service. However, nursery care is also available if that is the option that works best for you. At the end of your pews, you should see a connection card, and I invite you to complete this. It's a great way to let us know if you are in need of any support, have new contact information, or an interest, comment, or question. You can place the card in the offering basket during service. And our Soul Matters theme this month is pluralism. Make sure you're signed up for In the Know to get that packet so you can engage with the materials. You can speak with Reverend Dorian Condre if you'd like to get information on how to sign up. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Emily. Who participated in Labyrinth Day yesterday? And a bunch of us. I know the whole men's group was here too. There was a lot of folks. So thank you to all the volunteers and staff who acknowledged World Labyrinth Day and set up the labyrinth in the atrium. We have a congregational meeting today after service. It is for everyone. While only members can vote, we encourage everyone to attend. We'll be reviewing the annual reports. Everyone will get a copy. All the annual reports and budgets were sent out in advance. I hope you had a chance to take a look at them, even though we will have some printed copies here today in case you need to refresh your memory. We are not going to drill into those deeply because we want to just stay focused on the things that we need to vote on. So it won't be like watching paint dry. It should be quick and painless and focused on dialogue and conversation. Our right to peacefully protest is in jeopardy, and it's important for us to talk about. Our hearts are with the student encampments today, and for those who remembered what happened at Kent State in 1970, I say we cannot allow history to continue to repeat itself. So I offer you these words by the Reverend Melissa Carville-Zemer. As we recognize the connection between then and now, Rev. Carville-Zemer says, I did not realize when I accepted the call to the Unitarian Universalist of Kent in 2005 that I was about to begin an extended study in community trauma and its impact over time. On May 4th, 1970, members of the National Guard shot into a crowd of students protesting the expansion of the Vietnam War with the invasion of Cambodia. 4 Kent State students were killed that day and 9 were wounded. Kent is a small town, and the UU congregation there was and is deeply connected to the university. It's impossible to overstate the impact of those events on the individuals involved, the university, the congregation, the town, state, and students everywhere. As the minister of that congregation, I participated in May 4 commemorations on campus every year. Over the years, I've heard from many people who were there that day, as well as from scholars and activists about the tragic events and all that followed. The voices of student protesters are critical to our collective discernment about the most pressing matters of our times. Whether or not we agree with what they have to say, I hope we can all remember the grave risks that come with police and military suppression of student voices and organizing. So let us hold a moment of silence for those in the encampments this day. Thank you. As we continue our time together, we acknowledge the land itself and those who've sustained it through the generations. We are upon the unceded land of the Lenape, Miamia, Kaskaskia, Shawnee, and Kickapoo people who were pushed from their land and whose children have been stolen for generations. As we strive to be a community of justice, may we continue to find ways to make reparations. I gift you the words of poet Luis Rodriguez. Cinco de Mayo celebrates a burning people, those whose land is starved of blood, civilizations which are no longer holders of the night. We reconquer with our feet, with our tongues, that dangerous language, saying more of this world than volumes of textured and controlled words on a page. We are the gentle rage. Our hands hold the stream of the earth, the flowers of the dead cities, the green of butterfly wings. Cinco de Mayo is about the barefoot, the untooled, the warriors who took the greatest army Europe ever mustered on and won. I once saw a Mexican man stretched across an upturned sidewalk near Chicago's 18th and Bishop one 5th day of May. He brought up a near-empty bottle to the withering sky and yelled out a grito with the words, "Que viva Cinco de Mayo!" And I knew then what it meant for the barefoot Zapoteca indigenas in the Battle of Puebla, and what it meant for me there on 18th Street among Los Ancianos, the moon-faced children and futureless youth dodging the gunfire and careening battered cars, and it brought me to the war that never ends. The war Cinco de Mayo was a battle of, that I keep fighting, that we keep bleeding for, that war against a servitude that a compa on 18th Street knew all about as he crawled inside a bottle of the meanest spirits. Let us worship this day, present to the victory of this day and the ongoing struggle against oppression and colonization. Come, let us worship.
Good morning. Well, this ritual of lighting our chalice reminds us to continually renew our promises to live into this covenant, to put our love into action, and to live out this community of love and justice that we aim to be. So if you would please rise in body or spirit as we share the words that are printed in your order of celebration. They're in both Spanish and English. If you're with us online, please let us know where you're lighting your chalice from. And we'll say the words in Spanish first. El amor es el espíritu de esta iglesia y el servicio es su ley. Vivir juntos en la paz, buscar la verdad en el amor y ayudarnos unos a otros. Este es nuestro pacto. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. To dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. This is our covenant. And thank you, Elena and Reverend Katie. There we go. There we go. Thanks, darling. Oh, you may be seated. So, how many of you are familiar with the Battle of Puebla? Okay. I'm with many of you. I did not know about the Battle of Puebla. And one of the things I love about my job is I am always learning something. And I'm always learning interesting things too, like the Battle of Puebla. So I'd like to share this with you today. So back in about 1860, Benito Juarez became the president of Mexico. Now, he inherited a really struggling Mexico. They had been through wars, they had been through civil wars, they were struggling. And they also owed quite a bit of money to Spain, England, and France. Now, Benito loved his people, and he felt that the best thing would be to use the money that he owed these other folks, to use that to strengthen his country. And so he asked Spain, France, and England if they could just wait 2 years. Just wait 2 years, give me some time here. No. Because, they thought that Mexico was rich in gold and silver, and they thought that Juarez was holding back. No. Well, after a long time of negotiation, Spain and England said, okay, fine, and they left, but not France. Because, see, France was a little concerned that the United States, who was now amigos with Mexico, would become stronger and bigger. And also, France knew that the United States couldn't help much with the war because we were having a civil war here. So Louis Napoleon, who was the nephew of Napoleon Bonaparte, he was like, okay. So he sent about 6,500 troops to Veracruz. Now, those of you who know that, the geography of Mexico, we've got Mexico, and we have like Mexico City kind of down here, south central. And then down here, a little southeast is Puebla. And then down here, a little more southeast on the Gulf is Veracruz. So these 6,500 troops from France started there, and they started their way up toward Puebla, on their way to Mexico City. Well, Juarez sent some troops down there, and he sent a general, and they sent about 3,000 people down there, down to that Pueblo area. Okay. Well, those people also in that area, they loved their Mexico. So people from towns and villages all around, the farmers, the shopkeepers, the ranchers, they brought their farm tools and anything they had on hand. And then the cowboys from Mexico came riding in on their horses. They had their spears and their carved swords. And the Zapotec came. They came with rocks and sticks. They loved their country, and those French were not going to get them. On May 5th, 1862, those French troops were leading on up there to Puebla. Juarez had them ordered to start fighting, the Mexican troops to start fighting, sent off some troops on horseback, and they kind of scared the French a little bit, and they kind of scattered them a little bit. But really, scattered them. But the other thing that happened is the general, he said to round up all the cows and bulls. They got all these cows and bulls, and they sent all these cows and bulls, all these angry animals were directed at those French, as well as all the townspeople and all the people. Little bit of divine intervention, though, because it started raining. The rain came down, the French were trying to get up the hills, there's mud, there's falling in cracks, they couldn't get their carts and their cannons up. Oh, and then it began to hail. The hail came down, the gunpowder, all that got ruined. They kept trying. Those French, though, we got to give them credit, they just kept trying to get up there 3 times. But man, those Mexicans, they kept charging, they kept going. The French finally retreated. They went away. They won. The Mexican people won the Battle of Puebla. Now, it didn't give them independence, but they won that battle. They won it by their sheer grit, their determination, their coming together, their love of Mexico. They won that battle and sent those French hiking back. And so the Battle of Puebla, this is what I know. The Battle of Puebla is an amazing story in the history of Mexico that lets rise up the love of those people, the love of the people for their country, and what happens when they all came together to stand up for what was important to them and what they loved. That's that. That's that story. And if you would still stand as you are able for hymn number 113.
Where is our holy church, where race and class unite, as equal persons in the search for beauty, truth, and right? Where is our holy writ, where'er a human heart a sacred torch of truth has lit, by inspiration taught? Where is our Holy One? A mighty host respond. The people rise in every land to break the captive's bond. Where is our holy land? Within the human soul, wherever free minds truly seek with character the goal. Where is our paradise in aspiration's sight, wherein we hope to see arise 10,000 years of right?
Please join me in taking a few moments to note that which is currently bringing joy or sorrow to our community. We hold in our hearts all those who are suffering due to systems of oppression, war, hunger, and the effects of climate change. We hold in our hearts the protesters, the hostages, and the innocent people of Gaza who are being killed every minute of every day. Let us hold a moment of silence together for the joys and sorrows in our hearts that are yet unnamed. Thank you. Please rise in body or spirit as we sing hymn number 123, Spirit of Life.
We will sing first in English and then in Spanish. We have this little sheet with the text on it. If you don't have it, probably you can find it by the door. So feel free to get it.
Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion.
Today's reading comes from our very own Reverend Julica Hernan de la Fuente. She begins with a quote from Paulo Freire from Pedagogy of the Oppressed, which states, And he is Brazilian, this is true. There is no such thing as neutral education. Education either functions as an instrument to bring about conformity or freedom. One of the most humbling lessons of my anti-racism education career was when I witnessed a difficult and racist presentation in a Unitarian Universalist gathering, and I didn't think it was mine to interrupt. In fact, there were over 40 people in the room, and nobody thought it was theirs to interrupt. It was like witnessing a train wreck in slow motion. It was terrible, and no one said stop. When the speaker was finished, we all struggled to process what had just happened. No one said, "We need a caucus for the people of color in the room," because there were 6 of us, to figure out what we need. There was stark silence, followed by tortured conversation. I learned that day that if I am in the room, it is my responsibility to interrupt when someone is being harmed and to center their or our needs. It doesn't matter what my hierarchical position is in the system. I'm part of a covenantal community, and when that covenant gets broken, it's my responsibility to name that break with kindness and the intention of healing, and to call us back into right relationship. To throw a wrench in the agenda is one of the more destabilizing things that we can do in majority white spaces, because white supremacy culture teaches us to be efficient, to stay on task, to aim for perfection. The alternative is being relational. Instead of staying on task, we can pay attention to what just happened and what needs to be done in order to restore right relationship. We can center those who have been placed at the margins. This holy muscle of interruption is about courage, about a commitment to love at a higher level, about liberation and wholeness. It's about being willing to risk being unpopular in the moment and taking the heat that will happen when you interrupt the process. When something happens that requires interrupting, it's ours to do. And the more privilege we have according to our social location, the more responsibility we have to leverage that privilege. When we do, we bring the beloved community into being at that moment. And now, can we all please rise as you are able as we sing hymn number 142 in your gray hymnal, Let There Be Light.
Oh
today is an interruption in our regularly scheduled program, an interruption that is ours to do because we are in the room this Cinco de Mayo. And Cinco de Mayo is one of the most horrible, culturally misappropriated days in the United States. And if you're at home and you're staring at those streamers and you're wondering what to do, hang in with me. This may get uncomfortable for some of us, and others of us may be shouting a hallelujah or two. If you feel uncomfortable, the invitation is to rest with the discomfort and not to let shame get the best of you. Shame kills. It draws us within and it isolates us, but discomfort doesn't. We can be uncomfortable together and let love in. Love leads to liberation. Sharing a language and cultural aspects with Mexican kin does not give me any special or meaningful connection to this day. I am not an expert. The Battle of the Puebla was not fought on my ancestral lands, and I have not even ever been to Mexico. In college, when someone in my sorority said, "We are going to do something for Cinco de Mayo," and I was like, the 5th of May? Why? I hadn't heard at all about Cinco de Mayo in the US or the special connection to Mexico and the Battle of Puebla. And my family, for sure, never celebrated. And I also transgressed, like many here in this space, until I knew what Cinco de Mayo was about. And you know what? When we know better, we do better. The US didn't even have Cinco de Mayo on its radar until Chicano activists in the 60s began celebrating the holiday as an act of faithful resistance and celebration of community resistance and empowerment in the Chicano labor movement. Celebrating Cinco de Mayo was a reminder of the strength to resist colonization until it was co-opted. Each year, many of my friends and many farm worker activists post over and over on social media and talk to anyone who will listen, asking people to please support just immigration laws and support farm workers rather than participating in these appropriative corporatized events. Today, there will be lots of restaurants and businesses, homes and parks, all capitalizing on Cinco de Mayo or a whitewashed and commercialized narrative of Cinco de Mayo that is appropriative and lacks context. What's all this talk about cultural appropriation, you ask? In his study titled From Cultural Exchange to Transculturation, a Review and Reconceptualization of Cultural Appropriation, Richard Rogers defines cultural appropriation as the use of culture's symbols, artifacts, genres, rituals, or technologies by members of another culture. Cultural appropriation can be placed into 4 categories: exchange, dominance, exploitation, and transculturation. Who's taking naughty conversations in here, if you're comfortable self-identifying? Okay, yeah, the folks in this most recent group talked about cultural appropriation this week. And you see those hands? They'll tell you, this is tricky stuff. Gabe, Nancy, and I, when we're planning worship, we constantly engage with questions around what hymns should we sing, what poems can we share, and so much more. And when we're in dialogue, we ask questions that, fortunately, our faith provides in such situations, and you can see these by Jackie James on the UUA website. You know, why this poem? Who's it for? Are we in accountable relationship with this group or person? Is this about inclusion or appreciation? How will we frame this? Will the marginalized person or group benefit from the sharing of this piece? Are we trying to claim something that is not our own? And these questions are so important to engage with regularly. And you might be wondering, okay, so should we be saying our covenant in Spanish? Y'all, Spanish is the second most spoken language in the United States. And it is the second most spoken language in Indianapolis, meaning there isn't another group of people in Indianapolis that speaks a language that is used more often than Spanish, which is true in other small towns or cities. So to ignore Spanish in our services is to make invisible the people who speak the second most spoken language in this community. So we say our covenant in Spanish in recognition that this language is important to our neighbors, to people in our community that are already here. We are also in accountable relationship with the Spanish-speaking community and are continuing to do work to be more fluent in Spanish. We strive to be welcoming and supportive of folks who are already here and those who might be here. And we are working to be more welcoming to our main renter, the East Coast Migrant Head Start program, which is a bilingual Spanish-English preschool. Some folks who went on our Spanish language and cultural immersion to Cali, Colombia last year have volunteered at the East Coast Migrant Head Start program. Some others volunteered to work with immigration, paperwork, support, and more. That's what it looks like to be in relationship. It's not about, well, we have a minister who speaks Spanish, so now we should say the covenant in Spanish. It's actually not about me. It's a hard lesson to know that not everything in life is about me, but it's an important lesson for us all to learn. Now, on the flip side, here's an example of gross appropriation. It would be companies that are promoting their Margarita deals and Cinco de Mayo specials while advocating for building the wall the other 364 days of the year. These folks are turning a profit off of claiming and reframing Mexican culture. It's exploitative, so exploitative. Here's another example. Has anyone seen the Kroger Cinco de Mayo specials? They are promising to serve up Cinco de Mayo flavor, whatever that is. And they refuse to sign the Coalition of Immokalee Workers, or the CIW, Fair Food Agreement. According to Gerardo Reyes Chavez, farm worker and senior staff member of the CIW, companies like Kroger were actually buying from an operation in which workers were harvesting watermelons in modern slavery conditions. Some of the workers escaped in the trunk of a car and called CIW, which started an investigation. And he goes on to say, this is a disgraceful way in which the market operates without us even realizing that it's going on. If you're suddenly wondering if you should boycott Kroger, of course you can. But the CIW, while they often recommend strategic boycotts, also recommends that instead of boycotts for the entire institution, you instead don't buy the items that are purchased through horrendous practices, and most importantly, that you get vocal, join the movement, be an interrupter, and get Kroger to sign the Fair Food Agreement instead, and to maybe stop trying to celebrate Cinco de Mayo and Dia de los Muertos. We must also hold all of our leaders accountable. According to the Migration Data Portal, since 2014, more than 4,000 fatalities have been recorded annually on migratory routes worldwide. 2023 marked the deadliest year with more than 8,000 deaths recorded, marking a decade of documenting migrant deaths. The number of deaths recorded still represents only a minimum estimate because the majority of migrant deaths around the world go unrecorded. And we all know what's happening on the border in Texas. And this is happening today under the Biden administration. And families are still being separated at the border, and many migrants whose ancestors moved freely across their ancestral lands are consistently barred access and treated inhumanely. We start our services with a land acknowledgement. Part of the work of reparations is addressing issues of immigration, prioritizing people whose ancestral lands were taken by the U.S. Julio Herman de la Fuente urges us all to be an interrupter when we notice something wrong. Please interrupt this in a meaningful way. And if you're a person experiencing this othering, may you feel witnessed and supported today. I am working to bring a diverse, revolutionary, Unitarian, Universalist, multicultural ministries chapter to Indianapolis for BIPOC UUs of color. So stay in contact with me. Thank you. Drum's annual online worship will be this May 8th at 8, I believe, this year. Yeah? Thank you. Cinco de Mayo, as Luis Rodriguez poignantly reminds us, celebrates a burning people, those whose land is starved, civilizations which are no longer holders of the night. We reconquer with our feet, with our tongues, that dangerous language, saying more of this world than the volumes of textured and controlled words on a page. We are the gentle rage. Our hands hold the stream of the earth, the flowers of dead cities, the green of butterfly wings. In a day that speaks to the resilience of the human spirit, to the indomitable courage of those who dare to defy oppression, Cinco de Mayo is about the barefoot, the untooled, the warriors who took on the greatest army Europe had mustered and sent at them, and they resisted. In the Battle of the Puebla, we see echoes of current struggles against injustice, against systems of oppression that seek to divide and conquer. Structures of oppression that keep kin from Mexico off their own ancestral lands. May we rise in solidarity with those who, like the barefoot Zapoteca indígenas, refuse to be silenced, who refuse to surrender their dignity and their freedom. And that means holding all of our elected officials accountable. And may those we love actually stay in accountable relationship with us, which they can only do when we tell them what we feel is right or wrong. Cinco de Mayo is a reminder of the war that never ends, the war against servitude that continues to oppress and exploit. May we go forth from this place with hearts full of compassion and minds open to learning. May we be agents of change and champions of justice, beacons of hope in a world that desperately needs it. And may we remember that we are never alone in these battles. May it be so. Que así sea. Amen.
This week, we are sharing our offering plate with East Coast Migrant Head Start Program, which aligns with our UU values by providing high-quality, culturally affirming early childhood services for the children of migrant and seasonal farm workers. To contribute, you can gift cash or a check into the collection plate, or if online, you can go to allsoulsindy.org, where you will find a link that says Give to All Souls Here. It is beneath the description for today's service. Please do indicate if your gift is a pledge payment or if it is for Share the Plate if you are paying online or using a check. Again, thank you for your generosity in supporting the mission of All Souls and for your continued love for one another and this world. The morning offering may now be given and gratefully received. At this time, we are also going to rise as you are able, and we are going to sing hymn 1027 in your blue hymnal, teal hymnal, Cuando el Pobre.
We are going to be singing the first verse in Spanish and all the other verses in English.
Las palabras de Julica, hermana de la Fuente. Queridísima Diosa, help us strengthen our muscles to interrupt with love. Help us to honor relationship and lived experiences in real time, centering the needs of those that have been harmed and restoring what has been broken. Bendita seas. Amen. I invite you to rise and body our spirit as we enjoy the postlude. Keep on moving forward. Don't worry if you don't have the words. Just jump in with great rejoicing and joyful noise where you can. You'll catch on.
Hey, feel free to sing with us, to dance with us, and also to start to walk your way towards coffee, which is also very important.
And then please return for the annual meeting with you coffee and comida. It's fine.
Gonna keep on moving forward. Keep on moving forward. Keep on moving forward. Never turning back. Never turning back. Sigamos adelante. Sigamos adelante. Sempre adelante. keep on loving boldly. Gonna keep on loving boldly. Gonna keep on